Hello, I am Karush Madhavi. This is our second session of the meeting. I hope these matters are resolved soon so that we can be present to serve you. In the previous session, we asked you to create a dice for us. The focus of our learning was actually on the extrusion of cards and filters, which included many things like tables and chairs. There are a lot of other things we could model with it. Now we want to create that dice for you. The reason I chose that dice was so that you could start your work with fully defined and very simple sketches. You can create this dice in various ways, but now I want to optimize this version for you. Since it's a cube, it doesn't matter which view we start with. For example, I choose the top view, and the view gets selected. I draw the sketch. So what is the first step? To remove the line and draw a cube, right? So what is the point of doing this? You know that we have a rectangle here. You can create a square with a rectangle. Now we can say that this edge should be controlled with this edge to be equal. Now I want to size it. I want to show you something. Imagine that this cube is your dice. Now we want to create the number, which is actually the shape of 1 in the middle. If we pay attention, the center of the coordinates, just as the first one draws that corner at the bottom, to find the center of this rectangle, I have to bring the banana here to find the middle. From this, I need to find the banana very precisely. To get the positions that are in the middle, this can change at any time until I either come from the center line to specify the middle of this rectangle and take it and place it here, or draw the diagonal. But I wish I could draw it in a way that I could also use the coordinates. Although in this simple shape, it doesn't have much impact, larger shapes can really help us. Therefore, I will start my work from the beginning and edit my sketch. In fact, I don't want this at all. Well, you might ask how we can place this rectangle in the middle. Well, we learned that, for example, if we say this dice is actually 50 millimeters, definitely if I give a distance of 25 from the center to this rectangle, it will fall in the middle. This should also work for this, but we are still facing difficulties. The work is more effective when we can give additional volume to a subset of a rectangle. We have a central rectangle where our first click starts from the center, specifically allowing us to create a square or rectangle that begins from the coordinate center. Well, I will give the same dimensions again. Why should I give dimensions here again? I learned to hold the control key, and with this, I equalize these two together. We had a meeting, but didn't have time to discuss errors a bit. The errors are actually quite logical. Imagine I drew such a line and click on it. I give it a horizontal relation. Click again and want to give it a vertical relation. The software says, "Sir, we cannot have a line that is both horizontal and vertical. So please delete one of these relations." Yes, but we also have time. For example, since I definitely match these two, the size of this one is also 50. Now, if I remove the smart dimension and say I want to give this size, which is 50, you will see that he doesn't allow me to proceed with my work, saying that such a thing has already been defined with the number 50 registered on it. Why do you want to do this again? It's not logical or principled. Very well. Let's go ahead and have the cube. Now, you know that I actually need to give 50 to form the cube as well. We can also do another thing. Instead of the height, remember that the number we give creates the same amount for us. On the other hand, you can activate direction 2 and say to go 20 from the bottom as well. Well, if I want this top page to fall in the middle, I definitely need to give 25 to this and also 25 to that. One advantage is that the page is folded in the middle, which we can later use as a helper page for mirroring or aligning tasks. But why is direction 2 an option? It has options that allow you to input a number, and it will automatically create a page equal from both sides. So, when we activate direction 2, the top and bottom can be different. A square is also created. Now regarding the numbers, it doesn't matter where it starts from. For example, I can start from here. The page is selected, and I click on Sketch to bring up the normal view. Now you can see that the center and coordinates are right in the middle. I can easily take the circle and draw it to the desired size. Remember, we set a shortcut for Smart Dimension, so I can easily input the number 10. It shouldn't be too big, because I want to make it 6, and the circles shouldn't overlap too much. Let's create a shortcut. You see, it turned black by itself, because the only thing it wanted was to be centered. Let's give a number for our circle. How much should I take inside is up to us. I think 5 millimeters would be suitable, maybe even less. Two and a half, for example. As you are undoubtedly and certainly aware, you know very well that the poster is a glass. I'm going to create a 6-sided shape, something simple. For example, we can make a 2-sided or 3-sided shape. Personally, I prefer to create a 3-sided shape. I select the sketch page and set it to normal. Thank God, the center of the circle is also defined. Now, I have a few ways to place these two circles. First, let's create this one with a value of 10. Now, on the first line, I draw a circle and then specify the distance from the center of this circle to this corner, for example 15. The distance from this side to that side is also 15, but it's better if they are a bit closer together, so let's set it to 12, and this one to 12 as well. When I input a number, I want to adjust it, so I double click on it to enter. What I need to do is click on this circle again and use the Smart Dimension tool to give it a value of 10. However, this tool starts with numbers. The Smart Dimension tools are starting to come in. What can I do? I can hold down the Control key because I previously set a size. This will make it the same size as the other one. I will continue this process. Maybe this is your first time trying to create something new. But I think there is definitely and absolutely another possible way to do this. I can easily take the center line and carefully draw it from this specific corner to that particular corner, and we have a clear diameter here. Now, I will precisely place my circle on the exact diameter, and I will confidently say that these two should indeed be equal to each other. You see, when I move the mouse, it can't go beyond this line at all. It doesn't move left or right, for sure. What we certainly need to do is set the distance from here to here, for example, to the same 12 we have. You see, we don't need to measure from this side because when it's on the line, we definitely have the number 12 from this side as well. This is indeed one method. Now, what do we do with the other one? Another thing is that I take another center line and draw it like this. Why? I've drawn so many lines. We want to practice something together. This gives us a certain measurement, and the angle will be 90 degrees. This is certainly one method we can use. The second method is that when you are drawing this, it should recognize this point for a moment. It gives you a suggestion. The relation is established, and the last movement is absolutely correct. You can draw this here, select it, and hold Control with this one. Select the perpendicular relation. Why am I even drawing this? Because I want to use the mirror tool to accurately mirror the entities, guys. We are in the sketch environment, and after using mirror, we are also utilizing sketches. The mirror feature is different. It requires a plane so that we can mirror the line. It asks what you want to mirror these. What exactly is the task we need to do in relation to the height? Should we use Extrude to give it a dimension? This is its advantage, which is quite beneficial. Now I really don't know if this number here represents a 2 or 4. Let's assume I want to draw 4. I will select Sketch. You know, kids, why do we even draw a center line? You might say, I drew this circle, so let me draw a line here and mirror it. Yes, it's possible. Look at it in relation to this line. When I want to give it an extrude or extrude cut, you see it does not provide a preview anymore, because in Sketch there is an element that is undefined. These are highlighted, and it is quite clear that they should be subjected to extrude. The extrude cut itself indicates that you need to clarify what you want to extrude cut. Therefore, in this context, we typically use center lines, which are our auxiliary lines, so that we do not need this mark to validate myself. As a result, when we perform the task next to the sketch, this mark exists. And when there is a center line, it does not really affect our sketch. So please pay attention to this issue. Now we want to create 4 here. One thing I am able to do in this case is, first of all, I can draw the diameter and the distance of 11 for the first circle. But we want to learn something new from this object. The display style, in fact. I will set it to your mode. Make it visible for me. In fact, what is behind the head I built here, I can see it now. Well, it turned out great. The only thing I need to do is remove the circle for a moment, bring the product onto this circle, and show its center. If we didn't draw it ourselves, we told the kids to first draw the schematic work, and then come and read it correctly. What can be done is method number 1, using smart dimension to say, Sir, the size of this is... I would like to express that I have the ability to choose and select this particular circle, as well as that specific circle. I see these two together, for example, as a method of equalizing. Why is it that if you drew circles here, we could say that by controlling these two, they could be centered together? Once they are centered, they become equal as well. In fact, I just made my work a bit faster. I didn't do anything special. It's really good for a few more of these. I can also use this one that I have here. But let's practice this mirror one more time. I no longer need the back. I'm returning to my usual state. I will establish another center line. For the mirror operation, it is not necessary for this line to be continuous. We also have an infinite line, which is actually infinite in length, but it doesn't significantly affect our work. If this line is directed this way, a short segment that intersects is enough for us to perform the mirror operation. Let's proceed with the mirror relative to this line. Again, using mirror for these two, this time relative to this line. You can see that they are fully defined. Well, since I was doing the operations before, it edits it for me. Just a moment, let me delete my feature and select it again, then Extrude Cut. Now let's move on to the sixth one, which is actually the back. This time we need to use a different method. We learned that if we draw a diagonal line, we can specify a certain distance of 12 and relate the rest to that. Let me show you both methods so that we fully understand. So this is our center line, and I will draw the first circle here, saying that the distance from here to here should be 12. It doesn't necessarily have to be different from my design, where I still need to adjust the number. Well, the diameter of the circle can be worked on by creating another center line here to indicate this. Mirror it again with respect to this line, and then create another center line from here to here. I want to draw another circle exactly at the intersection of these and say that these two are equal. Do you agree that if we draw another center line here, we can copy the entire assembly? This has always worked like this, but now we want to work with a new command together, which is called linear sketch pattern. What does it do? It says that the first thing you do is press linear pattern again. It asks what you want to pattern. I select it and say I want to pattern this circle. It says I want to copy it along the x-axis. Do I want to make 1, 2, 3, 4? No, I want 2 for now. At what distance? If our math is good, we should remember how much to subtract from this size to get the size on the other side. We drew 50, and the right side of the math box also shows this. So we can do 50 minus 12, which equals 38. Well, I think I need to subtract another 12 from this 38. So it should fall on the 26 side. Now, regarding the y-axis, I want 2 from this side. I will just select the reverse option so that it falls down with a distance. These should probably be 26 divided by 2 with a distance of 13. Once I'm done with my work, I'll hit OK. With this method, we can also complete our tasks faster. Let's move on to Extrude Cut. This can be done using any method. I just wanted to In fact, let's also learn this method of what to do with the linear pattern. Well, I don't think we need to draw 3 and what that 5 is. 5 is just 4 with a circle removed. 3 is easier than 2, and it just cleans up left and right. Okay, let's just see about filtering it. Some people make a mistake by filtering this side. How about 1 millimeter? 1 millimeter is good. For example, when they apply a fillet, they click the fillet command again and say they want to apply a fillet here as well. This one is filleted, or that one is filleted. And there are a lot of fillet features created in our tree, which is not correct and not professional. It's better to find the desired number and select all its options. For example, I want all the edges. For example, others might say that they didn't want the edges all around. Okay, I selected them this way, and now I can deselect them, but it makes it a bit harder to select all these circles without the adjacent edges being affected. Another thing we can do is to go to the feature selection. For instance, I can say to select the edge of Extrude cut number 1, and the command we gave has identified its face, which I applied this effect to our object that has been extruded. It selects the faces to apply. Extrude, cut 2, 4, and 5 here. Then, when I come back, see this message. It says, "You intend to work with a silent wax and haven't saved. Make sure to remember to save." Now, since I want the edges around to have a different number, unfortunately, I have to do it in another command. For example, using the number 4 isn't bad. This test, if I say to show its style as a shape, is a bit more natural. Now, when the render is done, it will look even nicer. Okay, let's move on to our new lesson. Kids. Our working method is almost like this. In the last session, we tried to practice a bit so that it becomes ingrained in your mind that we need to move on to the next task. This practice is crucial as it helps solidify the concepts we have learned and ensures that we are ready for the upcoming challenges. On January 23rd, we will learn how to create revolving shapes. This is an exciting opportunity to expand our skills and explore new techniques in design. Aside from the vase, which we could create using the extrude command, many other forms cannot be made with extrude. These forms require a different approach, one that involves understanding the nuances of revolving shapes. Yes, it is a revolving shape, but we need to look at it differently. The front face of your normal sketch has already been created, providing a solid foundation for further development. I will draw a center line here, which will serve as a guide for the revolving process. This step is essential for achieving the desired outcome and ensuring precision in our work. I want to create a vase. I'll draw a line here. These spills are it, guys. Every click we make generates a result from these points. Whenever I'm done, I hit escape to exit. These show me a curved line with the points we have here. And with this handling, we can control and edit our shape in any appearance we want. Can we reduce the points? Yes, we can also add more. I'll tell you later, like this form we have. Don't let me forget to close my vase. In fact, our shield should be closed. If I don't do this and hit the desired command, it will definitely ask questions. Now it does it automatically, but it's better if we close it ourselves. Can I go to the place where I can extrude to get a shape like this, which is quite complex and intricate? I will use the Revolve command, primarily because it offers a preview. It should definitely work since I only have one center line here, and it clearly understands that. It needs to create this shape around the center line to generate a form like this. Although, we can also use the flat side of this to actually revolve this shape, which is another interesting approach. Well, were we looking for such a font or such a shape? Definitely not. Let's not forget that the curve itself is not acceptable to revolve around. Well, we created this. If I wanted to draw this vase empty, what would I do? We provided two methods, a hard method and an easy method. We start with the easy method. We have options, so let's go with the shill. Kids. I'll say it once and for all, how exactly to say it properly. Children, it's very important. Please do not select anything. If you happen to select this option, know that you've lost your chance. Now then, let us consider what happens next. The very first thing, or shill, is always going hit preview button. See much plan empty regardless whether. Measures 10 mm length, which quite small. Larger size such as 50 mm A, more substantial amount. Maybe even 5 mere tiny little insignificant, minuscule micrometers. It's okay if want state explicitly, this completely emptied out, but unfortunately cannot see through because volume remains solidified rather than being transparent. Then have options available whereby make things appear transparent. Alternatively, use something called section view mode. Provides temporary visual access just so everyone understands clearly beyond doubt it definitely been emptied entirely. Furthermore, we also possess additional choice, allowing users simply click upon another option provided here within interface settings menu itself, perhaps enabling me informatively, tell each one among yourselves about existence, change transparency, feature, function, capability. I've seen precisely where located inside current version, release update, therefore confidently utilize whenever necessary. Oh, I think when the section view was on, even though we shilled, I should return my hand to the normal state. Yes, because the section view was clear. This was an interesting point that showed me this option. I remember changing the transparency to make it a bit transparent so I could see that it was really empty. But to return to the normal state, if I wanted this top part of the vase to disappear, what should I do? Again, we have a very good shortcut, which is that when you are shilling, any surface you select will also be removed for you. This means it empties the vase and removes that surface as well. Only flat surfaces are acceptable. It is not down here. But what I initially asked you was not to click anywhere, for the reason that you perform this action, hit OK, and then encounter this error. You say that no matter how much I try to loosen it, it keeps giving an error. Now you understand that whatever you select, it wants you to remove it. And if you remove this surface too much, what will remain of these two shapes? We need to pay attention to this. Well, we said this method is easy. What is the hard method? The hard method is that I have to draw a line like this. It's very difficult for me to go back and remove the spline, and no matter how careful I am, I will still make mistakes. we have an option called Offset, which gives us a parallel line to any element you select at a certain distance, for example 5 millimeters. If I reverse it, it comes inside. It's true that this is the selected line, but it gives a boundary around it because the selection chain has been highlighted. If I remove it, it says, I want to give you the offset of what you selected. I say I want something like this. This part is extra. I see it with the trim and I take it to this side. What about this side? I want this to reach here, so this is also extra. However, this part should be closed. Essentially, you draw something like this so that you can go back and revise it later. This is also a method that is somewhat difficult to explain, because if we go with the same loose command, we can change its size at any moment. Here, the command is separate. We right-click and edit. We can easily create many shapes in CAD, computer-aided design, this way. Now, just as we had the extrude command, we could also cut with the extrude command. Here, what can we do? I come to see the cut that I haven't seen. I draw a circle like this. Such a strange shape will actually be here, in those parts that are common with it, as I see it, here. Strange sounds are coming from outside, so I stopped momentarily for a brief pause. I'm drawing a center line here. I want to rotate these in a reversed manner. If I reverse it completely, it will give me this volume of sound output, but that's not what I'm looking for. I think it's better for the kids to make their own selections once more from the sketch menu before hitting that feature button, because if you don't do this step properly and carefully, it will ask you a series of questions which might be confusing at times. I select what is called the Revolve Cut option first, and then proceed with choosing Explode Cut. The term or phrase known as Revolve Cut actually means to adjust these shapes significantly in various ways, such as rotating them around an axis point for different effects. I went around just out of curiosity to see what exactly that sound really was. It wasn't anything special at all, just an incident happening on some street nearby us here today. In part 2 of our second session together here now today, we will continue working further along with something called specifically Saji Box. So far we were able successfully create our revolving volumes using this tool effectively, and indeed a lot can certainly be done creatively speaking when utilizing it fully, like creating intricate designs such as perhaps even chess pieces. For example purposes only right now though, I could easily create either pawn piece or soldier figure suitable enough, your board game set collection if desired too. I'll do quite casually, just familiarize yourself. Process involved, instance bring object over there, exit command mode afterward, also plan circle manner. But note importantly needs precisely aligned correctly. This drawing should be trimmed. Then I also actually want to have a ring here and, for example, 2 circles. I'm basically just designing it in a way that it actually has a certain shape. So, what are these? I essentially need to use the trimmer to draw the extra parts. In fact, we know what that message is saying. When you delete the circle, there is a relation in the middle that also disappears. If you want to do this, we say yes. Of course. I forgot that I wanted these to be highlighted, meaning I should have drawn it this way. I need to close it from this side as well. Now, let's just move on to the Revolve Cut, which ultimately gives me such an axis to work with. We did this very quickly and without taking any time to make the design a bit more aesthetically pleasing. But now we want to get familiar with another command called secular pattern. I absolutely want in the top view. Here, I want to draw a circle. I want to copy this circle just like the linear pattern you saw, where this object was copied in a linear fashion. Now, I want to do it in a circular way. So we need to go under this secular pattern. First, I select it myself. If it is not selected, it means the raw edge of this circle is the sharpest. I realized that I want to move it to the center of the economy. I choose a number like 4, 5, 6, or maybe 12. I hit OK, but I don't know if my hand accidentally hit OK. One thing is that 12 is okay. Yes, it seems like I didn't understand. These things we drew, they all stay the same size together. True, all. True. What does that mean? It means whatever you see in front of you, we should erase it too. Of course, it doesn't matter here because there's nothing. In fact, it makes no difference if I said to reduce its power, or this much or that much. We are doing something like this here, sometimes, so that we want to convert this into a surface. I face the drawing board and say I want to sketch. For example, erase a rectangle. For me, in a way that it is hollowed out from both sides. Why did I do this? Of course, I can make some changes to it, like moving it up here, for example. Now, what can we do to hollow out this container? The first method is to select this area and say that we want to sketch a circle in this shape. I will perform an extrude cut on it. How much? For example, 10 millimeters. Yes, this hollowed it out. But if we look at it from the side view, it has gone very smoothly from the surface that if we wanted to do it in this shape, we would have to create a circular profile, which we would use the Revolve Cut method for. Let's go ahead and do it so that you can practice it once more. In fact, I choose the front view and say I want to sketch. The first thing I always do is draw the axis or center liner. So how do we have this? I gently select the mosaic and apply the offset to this sound, making it about 4 millimeters. That's not bad. Yes, I can even extend it to come up to here. From this, we can certainly draw a perfectly straight line. And of course, we will definitely remove the excess with a careful trim. I will perform a Revolve cut. It knows that it should rotate precisely around this. Now, if we look again from the same view, oh dear, we can absolutely see that it is completely the shape of the side walls. Well, why did I do this? I want to show you something that from my front view, I want to reduce something like this and cut it towards the X-rot, meaning I want to subtract something like this. Now I want to make this feature kids. The sketch was here where the patterns were. I want to make this feature a circular pattern. You see, the liner pattern. The secular pattern asks what feature you want to actually pattern. I can select this edge from here or the tree diagram that has been processed. I will also cut it in that way. It asks, what is the direction of the hole? If I select this page or this circle, it will automatically understand that I want to hide it. If you don't hit it, let's choose the same circle. Yes, I remember that in the old days. We would select the page. You see, when I select a circle, it understands that the axis is in the middle, and it should revolve around that. How many are there in total? Based on my estimation, I believe the count should be approximately 6 at this point in time. I just subtracted 6 from it. This indeed also became a unique shape. I simply call this a secular pattern, a distinct pattern. We can also possibly work on another project, or even, for example, I come here, specifically to highlight one particular aspect, emphasizing it in detail. Then I return, to revisit and focus again on such a shape emphasized here. Indeed, he realizes this. Once more with clarity. I want pattern 1, X-rot, precisely like this circular shape taking into account number 4. At this moment in time, because these elements always tend to merge seamlessly together, it doesn't really matter significantly. Later on down the line, we will also extract them out so as to gain a deeper understanding of what can potentially be achieved through merging. Well then, the lesson you will have undoubtedly learned, naturally, is that you are practicing diligently. In fact, actually, I mean all your practice efforts. We need to make a beautiful vase that has 3 distinct discs, disc 1, disc 2, disc 3. Additionally, now your main exercise is to create a vase or a chess piece like this rook or bishop and send it to us. Although we indeed had a session with the kids at the Free University on Saturday, I might be mistaken. We also worked on a color model together. I don't want to take too much time with this video, so I'll do it quickly to give you a brief idea that such tasks can certainly be done with Revolve Cut, focusing on the front view. I draw a center line like this. Now I want to create a shape like this using a line. Well, I want the whole thing to take an offset. We have a lot of caps, so you can see that it should close at the end with a very arc or line if the default mode is not on. Remember that you have to manually close these. When it closes, you will see it highlights itself. You might say, What is this that you drew? I want to rotate this and give it a form like this. When this form is given in this particular scenario, I come into this perspective or viewpoint, or the right view, that is opposite to this. If I want to create a sketch, I draw a center line here, and another center line at a specific angle. Specifically, for example, let's say 15 degrees, which is a specific angle divisible by 360. This line actually assists me significantly. I draw a line here, a circle here, and another circle here. With the trim tool, if we bring it to power trim, you click on an imaginary line and hold the click in this context. The line will trim wherever it passes through in this manner. We have drawn this. We need to give it a specific shape or form as well, because a linear line or straight line like this will be mirrored. I want to mirror this line and this line relative to this center line, and yes, it will be an extrude cut operation. So, with true all, whatever is in the model, for example, we have obtained such a shape here. Now you realize that we can use the circular pattern tool, which is a feature in many CAD programs that allows for the duplication of features around a central point, to copy this extrude cut around such a circle, for instance to have a shape like this. Of course its shape is very ugly, I admit, but it is just for practice. The reason it looks unattractive is due to the lack of refinement and the basic nature of the design. Now we want to make the ring a bit softer, so we need to smooth out the edges here by using a fillet or chamfer tool, which helps in rounding off the sharp corners, and add some designs, like our logo, which is crucial for branding and personalization. We notice that this surface has become very sharp, possibly due to the initial extrusion settings or the lack of smoothing applied earlier. I want to offer a form here as well. In the sketch, we have an option available called text. Here, we can easily type what we want to say. I will actually take the solid use document in order to slightly change the font and size a bit from all of this. It's a matter of taste, that when you do this, it creates a closed sketch for you, which we can give an extrude cut to, for example, by 5 millimeters. If you have time, hopefully you will do it. After making that vase with 3 handles, or the chess piece, that could be a bishop, rook, or even a king, it would be even better to create a ring, along with its rubber, as the bottom of the rubber is very important. Thank you for your attention. Until our next session, which is our 3rd session. Please practice, as this is extremely important. If you don't do it, it will be like a musical instrument. The teacher comes to you and says, if you press this key, this sound will come out, and you can learn this moment. Well, yes, the teacher plays it for you, and you think how easy it is. I just need to press these buttons. However, until you sit down with the instrument and practice, it will be very difficult to achieve. Be aware.